once again. This is Ricky Sellers, minister. Ricky Sellers from the Agape Community Christian Church. And as promised, I'm giving you the third segment of the book of Genesis, and we are going to wrap this book up. Now, understand, I'm going to be skipping a lot of parts. So if you guys are reading Genesis with me and see and read some stuff that I haven't talked about yet, inbox me. We can talk. It's going to be a lot of stuff skipped, but at least you'll have that point and grunt understanding of the book of Genesis. Where we stopped off is last time when we stopped off, Abraham was getting ready to sacrifice his son Isaac on the mountain, and he didn't do it because the angel caught his hand, and guess what? There was a ram in the bush, and because of that ram and God caught his hand, they sacrificed the ram instead of his son Isaac. And Abraham was so happy he named that place Jehovah Jireh, which is translated the Lord is my provider, which he provides for all of us, right? Well, all right, let's keep it moving. Time went on, and as time went on, Abraham got old, Isaac grew up, and it was time for Isaac to get a wife. So, Abraham was like, Isaac, whatever you do, don't marry a Canaanite woman. See, back in the Bible days, they were very, very serious of keeping everything in the lineage and in the bloodline. And a Canaanite woman was out of the bloodline back then. So, they sent a servant out to go look for Isaac a wife. And when they sent the servant out, he went at the well and he started praying. And before he could finish his prayer, guess what? Boom! Rachel showed up out of nowhere. This very sweet, young, beautiful, attractive young woman, very, very mannerable, came up to him and he was like, you know what? What family you in? What's your bloodline? When he found out the bloodlines was right and they were still in the bloodline, he was like, boom! I got somebody I need you to marry. And he went, talked to her brothers and her dad, which he found out was like an uncle of a cousin to Isaac, so everything was cool. So he was like, you know what? Yep, I want you to marry my master's son, my master Abraham. My master Isaac. No, my master Abraham. I want you to marry his son Isaac. So he took her back to their land, and guess what? She saw Isaac meditating in the field. And when she saw Isaac meditating in the field, she got off the camel or animal that she was riding on. I don't really remember specifically, but she got off that animal. They met up, and boom! I say, now this ain't in the Bible, but this is just me saying it was love at first sight. Well, not too long, they got married, fell in love, and they had kids. And the two children they had were by the name of Esau and Jacob. Now, in the Bible, it says they were twins, but Esau came out first, and Jacob came out second, holding on to Esau's ankle. So when they came out, they was raising the boys up, and Esau was the hairy one, hairy. He was very, very hairy, and he was the rough and tough hunter. While Jacob, he was a bit more on the softer side. He liked to cook and clean and stay in the house, while Esau liked to go out and get dirty and roar, So anyway, the mom kind of liked Jacob a little bit better than Esau, and it was time. Isaac was getting ready to pass away, and he wanted to give away the birthright or the lineage that was passed from Abraham, the lineage to be a father over many. Well, that was passed down to Isaac too, to be father over many, as well as all the riches and stuff Abraham had passed down to Isaac, all the riches. Now it's going to be passed down to the firstborn of the son, which was supposed to be Esau. But what happened was Jacob wanted that birthright, and his mom actually encouraged him to get it. She wanted him to get it too. So she told Jacob, you know what? Why don't you trick your big brother? Make him a soup and ask him to trade his birthright for it. So Esau came home and he was like, I'm tired, I'm hungry. Bruh, cook me something to eat. And you know what Jacob said? If you give me your birthright, I give you the soup. So Esau traded his birthright for a bowl of soup. So he traded his birthright and everything he was supposed to get for a bowl of soup. So he got the beef stew, and what Jacob did was he went in and he put some wool on his arm so his dad couldn't tell the difference, because at this time Isaac was on his deathbed and he was blind. You know what I mean? He was blind. So he couldn't really tell the difference of who they were unless he could touch them. So he felt the wool on Jacob's skin, thought he was Isaac, and was like, you know what? I'm going to bless you with everything. Well, when he blessed him, once you bless your son, you can't go back on the blessing. So Jacob was the rightful owner of everything Isaac had, and the lineage and everything that was gonna go for Esau went to Jacob that Isaac sent. Well, anyway, Esau found out and he was extremely upset. Tried to rectify the situation with his dad, and his dad was like, "Well, I don't know what to say, son. I don't know. What's done is done." So Esau went and he was like, "I'm gonna kill him." He went searching for Jacob, and guess what Jacob did? He ran. I would have taught, dude. He ran. He got terrified and he got the heck on. So when he ran, he ran to this remote land somewhere and he fell asleep. And in his sleep, he had a dream from God. Angels coming down from a stairway to heaven, and God telling him that, I'm going to bless you, I'm going to keep you, and my lineage is going to come from you. So when Jacob woke up, he was shocked and nervous. He made some rocks, created an altar, and said, "God, you protect me and keep me, man. I follow you. Everything. I thank you." And he named this place Bethel. And it was the name of the land was a different name, but he named that place Bethel. Well, not too shortly after that, he found his wife, and his wife was actually his wife was the daughter of this guy named Lebanon, and he was like, this woman is pretty. This great lady is very, very beautiful. I want to meet her, and her name was Rachel, by the way. And he got to Lebanon. He said, "What can I do to marry this woman?" And pretty much, Lebanon said, "Work for me for 7 years, and you can marry her." So he worked for him for 7 years. Worked for this guy for 7 years now, tending Lebanon's fields, animals, plants, and everything. And when it came time to get married, Lebanon tricked Jacob and gave Jacob his other daughter, which was weak in the eyes. You can interpret it as she was kind of cross-eyed, or she was tender-eyed. I think it meant she was cross-eyed, but she wasn't as pretty as Rachel. Let's just get that straight. So after they consummated, he found out who this was. He was like, yeah, this is not the right person. And he was like, "Well, 7 more years working for me, and you can have her." So Jacob was teed off, but he was like, "Fine, okay." 7 more years, and he finally got his right wife, Rachel, right? So him, Rachel, and Leah, they lived together, and this, that, and the other, and he found out that his brother was looking for him, got terrified, went somewhere in the woods, told his family to go somewhere else, and he went in the woods and he met an angel in the woods, way either early in the morning or late at night. I can't remember which, but way late. And when he met this angel, he started tussling with it. And to wrestle with this angel, he said, "I'm not letting you go until you bless me. I'm not letting you go." He fought with this angel so much, this angel had to deaden his leg and deaden his hip, where he walked with a limp for the rest of his life, so he could stop wrestling. But in that point, he started clinging to him. Now he's clinging and wrestling to him. So the angel said, "You know what? From this start and that moment on, I'm changing your name from Jacob to Israel. You will be a father of many, and I'm gonna change your name, and from here on out, you are blessed." So out that situation, though Jacob had a deadened leg, he got the blessing that he needed. He finally met up with his brother. It was brotherly love. His brother had forgiven him for what had happened, hugged him, they cried, they wept, they was happy, and then they went their own separate ways. Well, time had went on, and Jacob, by the name of Israel now, had his little time with both his wives and some of the handmaidens, and had 12 sons. And these 12 sons are what originates what is now called the 12 tribes of Judah, or the 12 tribes of Israel. And I'm not going to go over the names of all of them. You can look them all up. But when you talk about the 12 tribes of Judah, like Levi or Judah and Joseph and stuff like that, those are the tribes we're talking about. So the tribes came out of Israel's loins, and time went on, and we get to the last story here, where Israel has, and I know we're going a little over the time, but this is the conclusion of Genesis. His favorite son from his favorite wife, which was Rachel, his favorite son, his name is Joseph. He loved Joseph so much because Joseph was the one son that came from his wife. his actual loved wife. He was his love child. So, he loved him. He gave him a coat of many colors and all kind of stuff. He treated him good. The other brothers didn't like this. They didn't like it at all. And then Joseph, to top things off, Joseph started getting these weird dreams. And these dreams were saying how he'd be, ahead of everybody, and he'd be a powerful man, and how the star and the moons and in the sky bow down to him. So, his brothers didn't like that. So they dug a hole, threw him in a pit, covered him in some blood, and told Israel at the time, or Jacob, but now his name is Israel, that he died. But he didn't really die. They took him out of the pit and they actually sold him to the Egyptians. Well, when he was sold to the Egyptians, he, one of his masters, the wife liked, Joseph, tried to mess with him, and he ran because he didn't want to mess with him, but she lied on him, and she was like, he tried to rape me. And when she lied on him, well, he got thrown in the dungeon. And when he was thrown in the dungeon, the king of Egypt was dealing with some stuff, but he had people, in Egypt that he was getting these crazy dreams, and none of the wise men or anybody could interpret the dreams. So, when they found out that Joseph had this unusual gift to interpret dreams, he began to interpret the dreams the king was having. And in him interpreting dreams, he actually predicted or prophesied, more specifically through one of the dreams of the king of Egypt, a famine that was coming to the land, and even instructed him on how to overcome the famine. When that happened, Egypt was surviving while the other lands was dying out. So, the 12 brothers that Joseph had from Israel, Israel, his dad, they came to Egypt begging for food so they can survive, or trying to barter. They didn't know they met Joseph at the time, or who Joseph was. So, they was begging, and Joseph, he played a trick on them. He said, what, I'll give you this if you leave, one of your brothers, Reuben, leave him with me, and I'll give you this, and bring your father and everybody. So when everybody came, they couldn't recognize Joseph at the time because he was set up like an Egyptian. Mind you, when he was able to interpret dreams and stuff like that, he helped Egypt so much that the king of Egypt made him their right hand man. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool. So with him being the right hand man of the king of Egypt, he had some power, and all his brothers were in a position where they needed to theoretically bow down to him. So when everybody found out who Joseph was, they were happy. It was a family reunion type deal. And the brothers were initially scared because it was like, he's going to kill us for what we did to him. But he was like, man, I'm not going to kill you guys. You're still my brothers. You're still my brothers. Y'all my family. I love you guys. Better yet, let me give y'all some land. Let me hook y'all up. And Joseph pretty much saved his family. On Israel's deathbed, he said a blessing to all his sons from that correlates into the 12 tribes of Egypt. And that's pretty much the end of the book of Genesis. There's a lot of stuff, like I said, that I left out. Some stuff may be more important than others. Inbox me, hit me up, have some questions. I'm pretty sure I went kind of fast, and I went way over my time, but that's the book of Genesis, guys. The next book is Exodus. A good way to get into that, look at this movie called The Prince of Egypt. You would like that. That'll give you a good point and grant too. But with nothing else being said, oh, and as far as the Joseph story, it's a cartoon called Joseph, King of Dreams. That's a good little movie too, to give you a good insight on the story of Joseph. But other than that, guys, that's my time. I hope you enjoyed the first segment of Genesis. God bless. This is coming from Agape Community Christian Church. Peace.